There's three of us here. Ryan's the lead. He's like the moderator. And Howie and I jump in. And Julie, I don't know if Julie will be with us tonight or not. Probably not. No.
Probably not. Unless
She is not.
they might be going to the grocery store. Then I'll hop on for a little bit. But Willie, what's up?
Busy as hell. I mean, what the?
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Good way.
This being an adult thing is overrated. You got to pay attention. You got responsibilities. I've been busy.
100%.
A lot of stuff. I'd rather be a kid and just goof off and ride my bike around the neighborhood.
I don't even remember that.
Listen to the British invasion. Listen to the British invasion in Motown on my radio. I'd rather do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a Tootaloop radio. Do you remember Tootaloop?
No.
It was like a round circular like orb, but it was hollow in the middle, and when you could go like this to like tune it, so like it opened like that, like an S, and then it went back to a circle, and I used to put it on my handlebars. It's called a Tootaloop. I think it was made by Panasonic, but
wow.
I have to check out and see.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. That sounds like fun to me. Enough of this adult stuff. Let's do that.
Word.
I am all for that.
Where are you, Willie? Where do you live?
I'm in Greenwich Village in New York City.
Oh,
I'm near Bleecker Street.
very nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me old stomping grounds.
Where are you?
I'm in Westchester, Upper Westchester, Mount Kisco.
Okay. I got a buddy who lives up there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's like the next town after Chappaqua, if that means anything.
It does. It does. I'm always heading up north, you know. I'm playing Daryl's house in Pauling.
The only thing I don't like about Daryl's house is there's all tables. There's nowhere to dance.
Well, there's some side areas.
A little bit. You know what I mean? But I always wish they would just move those tables. But
it's not a perfect world. We have to dance where we can.
Oh, I always dance.
Yeah. We got to dance where we can. We got to find our spots. Yeah.
Always. That is a priority.
I was looking at your schedule. You're playing at Daryl's house the 28th. Tomorrow you've got 45th annual John Lennon tribute benefit.
It's a town hall. Yeah, I've done that many times. It's the only John Lennon tribute that Yoko Ono sanctions. There was a rehearsal today, and I love doing it because I love John Lennon, and it's they usually do it at Symphony Space, but a couple of years, last year, the year before, they did Town Hall. They do Town Hall again, and I like history, and there's a lot of great history in Town Hall. Paul Robeson played there. A lot of legendary people played there. I think the women's suffragette had some big thing going on in the teens, but I like history. So it's a cool venue. I got Graham Nash, Judy. I think they're honoring Judy Collins.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Suzanne Vega, Sean Colvin. Jimmy Webb was going to do it, but I think he got sick or something, so he couldn't. There's some virus. But I'm looking forward to it. I rehearsed today. It was a lot of fun.
That's cool. Enjoy. All right, guys, have a good show. I'm
Thank
out.
you, Julie.
Have fun.
All right. I see we're live on Facebook. We got 11
Yes,
people
sir.
so far. 12.
Right.
It'll go up here.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
We'll do some small talk, Willie, and then we'll officially start it in a few minutes just to get people on. So.
Sure.
How's,
just so you know,
how's
my
everything going, Chris?
sorry,
Willie?
Howie.
No, it's okay. How's Christina doing?
She's great.
Good.
She's in Italy right now. She's good.
Okay.
Thanks for asking.
All right, give her our regards, and we're really excited. We'll talk about it on the show, but we're really excited, for you, for your 50 years. Doesn't seem like 50 years.
It's funny when I signed up. I've done Light of Day since the first time they had it, since Bob Benjamin called me on the phone and invited me to come to his birthday party at Stone Pony. He just got diagnosed with Parkinson's, and he said instead of having people bringing gifts, they could bring some money and donate it to Parkinson's research, and that started the ball rolling. And I've been there every year since, and I love it. I love Bob. Bob Benjamin's a hero to me, and we've raised us $7 million, something like that, to find a cure for Parkinson's. And I think Parkinson's, everybody knows, not everybody, but a lot of us know people with Parkinson's. It's nasty, and I always say when the day comes when they find a cure, we'll have a massive party, big worldwide party. and then the next day we'll go up for something else.
Yeah.
It's good to give back, as people, as musicians, whatever. It's fun to do that. Play music with your friends and raise money for a good cause. So yeah, Bob, the one and only. Yeah.
Well, you're the one and only too.
Oh, so I didn't finish my point. So when I saw, agreed to do Light of Day again this year, I didn't. I just saw some dates, like January 14th or something at City Winery here in New York. I think it's a songwriter's circle, and on the 16th there's something at the Pony, and then the 17th is the big show at the Count Basie Theater, and then there's something on the day after that at McClune's, I think, and then the 24th in Montclair. I just thought, sure, I'll do it. I didn't realize they're going to make this big 5 decades Willie Nile world out of it. I didn't know that. I saw that and was kind of embarrassed. I thought, well, all right.
Don't be
Anyway,
embarrassed. You deserve it.
we'll have a great time either way.
Deserved, definitely well deserved.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate, you taking the time, to do this with us and the podcast and answering, and obviously for the support, you've always given, not just me, but the group. And, it's always a two-way street. We're always here for you too, Willie, whatever you need.
It's my pleasure, Howie. Thank you so much. You've been good to me, spreading the word about gigs and whatnot. Much appreciated. It's a brother or sisterhood that we got. There's a family, a community of people who love music, street music that means something. Whether it's partying on a Saturday night or whether it's something about neighbors in need, whatever. There's a community of us that care about music. You wouldn't be doing what you're doing. We wouldn't be doing this right now if all of us weren't crazy about music. The people watching,
Yeah, and you know what? It's the connection of music, but it's also, with the common thing with Light of Day and what we do in Spring Nuts, what makes us a little different. I don't want to make it a Spring Nut thing, but just to, I know this is that everything that we do is connected to giving back and charity and helping. And then, we get inspired from Light of Day and from the things that, everyone that's affiliated with Light of Day, and, all your friends, Williams on, all of them, everybody that's affiliated with it does the same thing. So it's an inspiration for us as well.
It's an inspiration for us as well. I see on the screen my name is Robert Noonan. That's my born name. So
okay, yeah. I was going to ask you about that. Yes.
That's my born name. I'm going to say that, let me say one thing about Light of Day. I'll answer that in a minute. With Light of Day, like I remember the 3rd year that they had Light of Day, and for me it was the most. If you ask about a highlight, and the most memorable thing I remember is the 3rd year. I think it was when Bob Benjamin invited Michael J. Fox to come to Stone Pony. And Michael was there. And the thing with Parkinson's is like there are good days and bad days, And he was not having a great day. One of his hands was shaking a bit. One of his legs wasn't working great. So he's limping, And he's a big movie star. Everybody knows who he is. So he's a little self-conscious. But he hung in there. He was nice to everybody. But the thing that stuck out about me about 2 things. One is that when he was on the side of the stage about to go join Bruce is on stage with Krashecki and his band, raising the roof as they always do. And Michael J. Fox, at the Pony, there's those 3 or 4 stairs going up to the stage on the side. And I was there on the side, and I saw him like on the stairs waiting to go up. And, it's Bruce Springsteen, for crying out loud, and the guy knows how to play on a stage, duh. And they're raising mighty hell. And it was glorious. And I could see Michael was like pretty scared. He was really, really nervous and really totally scared. He was terrified about going on stage, limping and not being 100%. And I watched him and I thought, oh, this poor guy, he's got to go up and join this like powerhouse, thing going on. And Bruce called him up, gave him a big hug, totally welcomed him, in a way that only Bruce can do. And Michael, they played for a number of songs. It was, and he had a great time. He played guitar, and I'll never forget that moment of him waiting on the stairs to go to play, and how scared he was, and how the courage it took. I'm here. I'm going to step up, and he did it, and it was great. Everybody had a ball. Money was raised, and the interesting thing about that is one good deed, like he came to Bob Benjamin's birthday party, and we've raised about something over 7 million, something like that, for Parkinson's research. Well, as a result of that night, Michael J. Fox started his own Parkinson's organization, and they have raised tens and tens of millions.
Wow.
For me, it's like the perfect example. Do a good deed. Be nice to somebody. You never know where that ripple can turn into something special. I mean, so we've raised 7 million, which is righteous. Michael's raised tens of millions, and like one good deed can lead to another.
Right.
That's my deepest. I mean, I've had so many great moments at Light of Day, believe me. But that moment in particular, Michael J. Fox walking on stage, and the courage it showed to do that,
Yeah.
was really.
Was that the first one? Was that the first one?
2003. That one, November 2000.
Okay.
Was that the second? Was that the
22
second?
years ago. It was the third one.
I thought so. The third one, he came.
Fourth one. Yeah. 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. Yeah.
So was it the fourth one?
Yeah. I think the first one was 2000. Yeah. And then 2001, 2002. So this was 2003.
It was so beautiful, you know, and that it led to him starting his own organization. I remember I went one year. Bob Benjamin invited me to come to the Sheraton Hotel on 7th Avenue in New York City. Michael J. Fox's evening event for his event. Martin Scorsese was there. His wife apparently, you know, had Parkinson's. I don't know if she's still with us. I don't know.
She still does, yes.
Yeah.
There's a documentary out about him right now, and they talked about that a little bit.
God bless her. Anyway, God bless Marty. And the Who played. Who? What? It was awesome. And I mean, yeah, was it yesterday? Roger Daltrey got knighted.
Yeah.
In England by Prince William. Roger Daltrey was a buddy of mine, and he got knighted. He's, you know, think about his background. He grew up, you know, I'm not sure, Manchester. I forget where he's from. A tough area. You know, he was a tough kid.
Yeah.
I remember reading that Pete joined the band because he thought Roger could protect him.
Yeah.
Because Roger decked him once. Roger's a tough. And to see him, I saw a photograph. I really touched him. I'm going to write him an email later tonight. Congratulate him, Sir Roger. Anyway, one good deed can sometimes lead to another, and that's happened with Light of Day.
It's funny because I was looking for a bunch of pictures to promote tonight's podcast, and I was looking for one for today, and then I saw that there was a picture of you and Roger Daltrey together recently. Yep. I think you must have did a gig, one of the things together. And before I got into Springsteen, it was the Who for me. I was a big Who fan, more than the Stones, more than the Beatles. It was the Who for me. And, Roger Daltrey is one of my all-time favorite frontmen. And, to see you two together. And I saw you and Bruce actually, and Billy Idol. I was, were with.
You were there?
Yeah, I was there with Pete, and it was a great show. It was in New York, and it was for the
Music Cares.
Yeah, Music Cares. Yeah,
the Times Square Theater. Yeah, I was at that too. That was an incredible night.
That was really a great night. And the Nokia Theater.
That's it. Yeah,
they're honoring Pete Townsend for his, with drug, rehab and stuff, and Bill Kerberston, Who's manager, and Bruce was there, and it was so much fun. I'll never forget seeing Pete's at sound check. Seeing Pete's face, watching Bruce sing, what was it, My Generation? I forget what it was.
No, I think it was Won't Get Fooled Again.
Whatever. Well, I sang that with him, but he did one by himself. I forget what song Bruce did with the band. And seeing Pete just look with amusement on with Bruce and singing the hell out of his song. It was really great. These two, heroes, Bruce singing a Pete song with the Who band backing him.
Right.
It was pretty, when you think about, I always say there's something to be said for believing in your dreams. You never know where they're going to take you. Do you think Bruce, as a teenager in New Jersey growing up, playing a guitar by himself in his room, ever thought that it would lead him to stadiums around the world, to the life it's that he's worked hard and earned? You just never know. So I always said, believe in your dreams. You never know where they'll take you. And that was one of those nights. I'm there playing I think I sang Substitute. I forget what song I played. I think we substitute, and then if I play Won't Get Fooled Again with the Who and Bruce and Billy. What a blast to share a dressing room with Bruce and Billy Idol.
Yeah.
Come on, you can't make that up.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, let's talk about you.
Hey.
Ryan's
Yeah.
take over.
no. Oh yeah, what? Say what?
Ryan's going to take over.
Willie, nice to meet you. My name's Ryan.
Good to meet you. Good to meet you, Ryan.
I'm in the Chicago area. Been in Illinois all my life, so I actually saw you at City Winery in Chicago a few years ago. Great, fantastic show. Fantastic show.
Thank you. I'm playing its space in
Oh, in Evanston, yeah.
in Evanston on April. That might be the. Let's see. I think it's the 16th. Yeah, I think it's the 16th of April. I'm playing a duo show. It's space in Evanston. I love coming there. It's a great venue, you know. And yeah. Anyway, tell Chicago I said hello.
I will. It's great to meet you. I've seen you several times. Put on a fantastic show. Obviously, your experience. You know how to work a crowd. You know how to fire the crowd up, and it's awesome to just be a part of it and be in a crowd when you're on stage. So, God bless you for that.
Fun to be there with a crowd. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you.
So question for you. I'm looking at done a little bit of research. I've listened to your stuff for a long time. I did a deep dive the last week or so, listening to a lot of stuff. You've had a tremendous run these last 15 years. For me personally, American Ride is fantastic. World War Willie is great. And your newest one, Great Yellow Light, is fantastic. So you've been on a fantastic run these last 15 years.
It's funny. A buddy of mine said there's a guy making a documentary about me, and Bill Flanagan, who was a producer. He's a music critic and journalist, and used to be on CBS Sunday mornings doing reviews. Great guy, and he said that my career is ass backwards. Like you call me the Benjamin Button of rock and roll, because I made albums in 80 and 81 on Arista Records, and then walked away from the record business after 2 years because they were killing my buzz. You know, I had no management. There were wolves all over the place. When it became more about business than music, I said to my wife at the time, I said, they're killing my buzz. I didn't come here for this. Let's get out of here. So we took our 2 kids. She was pregnant. We went back to Buffalo. And yeah, I'm a believer in rock and roll, and they didn't kill my buzz. You know, I'm having more fun now than ever. I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm getting close.
Well, it's clear because in all the albums I've listened to, like I don't pigeonhole people, like whatever, but I hear so many different influences: punk, rock, folk. There was one song I was listening to, and I was like, "This sounds like a Pogue song." It just threw me off. If I didn't know that was you, I would have thought it was a Pogue song. So you can hear all the different influences that you've absorbed all these years.
Well, I was lucky, born in a time when music was, I was a teenager in the 60s, and the music then was so wide ranging. I grew up I had older brothers, so I saw Elvis Presley on TV in the 50s. When he was on Ed Sullivan, I saw that. And I remember looking around and taking it all in and seeing the reaction, the newspapers and who this character was, shaking his hips on TV. And I loved early rock and roll, Little Richard, Buddy Holly, Chuck Berry, Elvis, the Everly Brothers, Fats Domino. Oh my God. And so I saw the early part of the first wave, so to speak. And then when the Beatles and the British Invasion, the Stones and the Who and the Kinks, I mean, I was like 15 years old or something, 14 years old, whatever. And it was just like, what is this? It just changed my life, all that music. And so we grew up in an era that was Motown was going on. You'd listen to the radio back then. It was AM radio. You'd hear, I remember being in my bedroom at our home on a Sunday night. I would listen to WBZ, Boston station. Great. You could get it on a Sunday night in Buffalo, and I listened, and the guy goes, "This is the new #1 song in the UK right now." And my ears perked up. It's a song by a band called the Kinks. It's called "You Really Got Me." And then I went, what? So the Four Tops. I mean, we grew up in a great era, and so the influences that I have are wide ranging, from all that stuff, Dylan, the Ramones, all kinds of stuff. And I love it all. I love classical music. I like a wide range of things. And you can hear that in the music. It's not, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm having some fun with the wheel and steering it in some steering it in some interesting directions, but I didn't invent it. But it sure is fun to drive it once in a while.
There was a song I was just listening to in my car. I did a lot of driving today, so I was driving back home. But there was one song that started out as like rockabilly almost, but then it turned into like a jump blues and then some horns. And I was like, wow, there's like 3 or 4 different genres in this one song. It was crazy.
It's really fun to go in the studio. I love writing songs. That comes first, and I love recording them, bringing them to life, watching the great musicians play, and having to take, I really enjoy that, and then playing them live. It's funny. You mentioned World War Willie. First of all, who names an album World War Willie? That was World War One. That was World War Two, and now there's World War Willie, right? So I haven't played that in years because the key I recorded it in was so high. I thought I can't sing that. And so I just lowered it like 5 half steps, and we do it now. And it's no, that was a different song. That's Whole World With You. I did a gig, 2 shows I did at City Winery in New York, a day before and a day after Thanksgiving, solo retrospective shows. And so I was looking through my catalog to see what to pull out of the hat, and there's like 195 songs to choose from of my recorded,
Right.
work. I was surprised it was that many, and I came across World War Willie, and I listened to it, and it made me laugh. And I didn't know what was coming because I haven't played it. I played it once in my life, and we played it the last 2 shows. It's a riot. Anyway, I embrace my influences, and I love music, and it's fun to get to do it. Make a living doing it. I'm a lucky guy.
Well,
I
looks
gotta
like
tell
you,
you, I'm sorry, but out of all the world wars we had, that World War III, World War
Yes.
Willie was my favorite. I gotta be honest. That was the one I enjoyed the most. Okay, the other 2 I didn't care for so much, but that one I enjoyed.
Thank you, Howie. Thank you.
Willie, so it looks like you grew up in Buffalo, and you've got a pretty interesting past as far as like your music and your family. Uh, I can read it here myself, but I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, I come from a very musical family. There's 8 kids. My parents had 8 children, and really good parents. I was really lucky. They were kind, very loving parents. We all get along. We all still get along, And mom's been gone 20 years, although, sorry, mom, she's not really gone. She's still hanging around. Dad's 108. My father turned 108
Wow, God bless
on
him.
November 14th, and he's doing great. I mean, he still lives home. One of my brothers lives with him, and he's been living there 8 years with him. God bless Joe for doing that. He's doing that, and Dad's fine. He takes no medication, unlike everybody watching, and us. And he takes no medication. He does 4 hours of crossword puzzles a day. His knees are really bad, so getting up and down out of a chair is really hard for him now. But if you sit and have a conversation, he's funny. It was really funny. He's humble, has a lot of dignity, and they were great parents. The home was filled up with. We had many, many international visitors. Buffalo, New York is near Niagara Falls, and I guess when my mom passed, we thought Dad did all this. We had so many international visitors. Name a country on the whole planet, any country. Somebody came to our house from that country. And just in 1956, Mom said to Dad, Bob, I think we should get a foreign exchange student. She heard it, obviously, that was an exchange program. And he goes, okay, Joe. And he made that happen. And that was a 16-year-old girl from Buenos Aires, Elena Sagatti. The next year we had Francis Guggenheim from Dunkirk, France. And the year after that was an Italian banker's son. They were all teenagers coming to spend a year in the U.S. going to school, and it went on. And in, I think, 61, my parents started a exchange program with Quito, Ecuador, and Colombia. It was called the Foundation for International Cooperation. They had 8 kids and a cousin that they took in who was having a really hard time, and Mom actually saved him, from probably doing himself in. And they had a full house, and here they are bringing in foreign exchange students. It was a great experience, and they belonged to one of the organizations was World something. So visitors would come to this place, to Buffalo, to go to Niagara Falls or wherever, and they said, oh, we want to go to a normal American family. And they would give them our address. Call my parents. Yeah, sure. So for dinner, I mean, hundreds and hundreds. They have guest books like this high with people. Oh, thank you so much. It was a great experience growing up in such a cosmopolitan atmosphere. I knew it was not normal. I knew none of the houses around us had this kind of stuff going on. I remember one Christmas, this one of the stories that stands out. You know, Irish Catholic family, Christmas. So Christmas Eve, we all go to bed, and I wake up at 3 a.m. I was always the first one to wake up, and I woke up my sister Nancy. I go, Nancy, let's go downstairs and open up the presents. Down we go through the living room, and we look over on the couch. There's like a 6-foot man with dark, swarthy skin sleeping there. He wasn't there, and we all went to bed. But we kind of just went, okay, and we just went and proceeded about our business, opening up presents, having a good time, went to bed. We woke up in the morning, and it was a guy from Egypt, someone from Chicago. The Crowleys had given him our address, saying, "Oh, there's a place you can stay in Buffalo," probably on his way to New York City. And he stayed for 2 weeks. His name was Samir. I remember his name, Samir Samaika from Egypt. And as always happened, we all became good friends. We had dinner every night, a couple of meals. He stayed at the house for 2 weeks. And he left. He gave some like ivory elephants to my folks, whatever. And that happened time and time again. One time there was a Hungarian student who was missing a thumb. In the late 50s, there was the communists in Hungary. There was a revolution of some kind, and he was tortured. They cut his thumb off. And I forget his first name, Bella something. Anyway, he used to come over because we had a Panamanian girl staying at the house, and he was sweet on her. And he would come over to the house because he came for dinner a few times. And anyway, that kind of atmosphere. And plus, my mom used to always play music at dinner, play classical, big band, radio, whatever, records. And my brothers played rock and roll records. And it was always music. My father's dad was an orchestra leader in vaudeville for 30 years. Dick Noonan, great, great piano player. I remember him playing the piano. He died in 1953. And he was just like, boy, could he play ragtime, boogie woogie. And just a real gifted piano player. When he died, Eddie Cantor had a nationwide TV show. You figure if you have a half-an-hour TV show in 1953, there's ads. What do you figure? You get 23 minutes, 24 minutes? And he took 30 seconds out to say, my good friend Dick Noonan passes this week, and I want to send condolences to the family. How close must they have been for him to take the time to do that? And Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles Robinson used to send him Christmas cards every year. Bojangles carried a gun. And you figure we're talking the teens, the 20s, the 30s, 30 years. My grandfather led an 8-piece orchestra, six nights a week. And a black man carrying money, in that era. He had a gun. But he sent Christmas cards every year. How cool is that?
Yeah.
So my background growing up, I was very, very lucky. Well, my brothers and sisters were all very lucky to have really great parents and a very multicultural background. People speaking different languages, wearing different clothes, different foods, different smells, different religions. So with that kind of like, okay, it's a big old world. And we always got along with the people, So it's like, it's possible for the world to get along. It's not right now, but hopefully down the road it'll do better.
Amen.
So what musical instrument did you start on? Did you just start plunking away on the piano? Did you take lessons? What was your...
The piano. There was a piano in the house, and my older brothers took lessons. My sister took lessons. And so it came time for me, like I think 8 years old, and I started taking classical piano lessons. And I liked it, When I was 5, I wanted to be a classical pianist, Franz Liszt or something, And I loved, Rachmaninoff, Liszt, Chopin, Beethoven. I loved all that stuff. And I think a lot of the Who is very classical, And anyway, I took classical lessons till I was about 16. And then I was in high school partying with my buddies, playing sports, chasing girls, the usual. So I stopped taking lessons. And then my first year of college, I started writing poetry in high school. I think a junior year, had a really good professor. And then senior year, a good teacher. Just turned us on to a lot of interesting stuff. And I started writing poetry. And I liked it. And when I tried to get into college, because I goofed off in high school, and I could get by my wits. I didn't have to study. I could get through. But when it came time to get into college, I had like an 87 average, and I went to the guidance counselor for the first time in 4 years. I'm having trouble getting into college, and I want to go to college. He goes, well, there's this college in Canton, Ohio that just built a new dorm and they need students. So all these losers who couldn't get into college, me being one of them, went to Walsh College it was like three or 4 miles north of Canton, Ohio, cow country. There was nothing within a couple miles. The Hoover factory was the closest thing. It was like 2 miles away. It was middle of nowhere. But you never know. I remember when I got dropped off there. And I'm watching my brother and my mom drive away. Dad was working 2 jobs at the time. Good guy, great guy. And I remember watching as I drove away thinking, what the hell have I done? I'm serious. I'm going, you idiot. Here you are in the middle of nowhere, but you just never know what these forks in the road. My roommate had a guitar and there was not much to do. We listened to music, we partied. And one day I said, can you teach me how to play that thing? And I was a lefty. I mean, I write with my right hand, probably because in first grade they said, put the pencil in your right hand, students. So me being a good student, okay. I can do things with both. I play pool left-handed if I was to bow and arrow or a gun, whatever. So I do things both right and left. But my guitar player, I was a lefty. And so I learned right-handed because he had a right-handed guitar. I haven't been the same since. Other than that, I learned to play guitar, and then I started putting my poetry into songs. So going to that college in the middle of nowhere was a real turning point in my life. You just never know, where the road's going to take you. And obviously, we all try to make the best of our circumstances, and it's not easy. I mean, it's hard. Years can go by. But that was, yeah. So I had a big musical background with a great family, which was a blessing. So I'm easy getting along with people.
So you made the transition from nowhere, Ohio, to into the city at that point in time,
Well,
shortly thereafter.
The thing is, I spent my freshman year at Walsh College, north of Canton, Ohio, and I transferred. Oh, was I glad to get out of there? I mean, there was a couple of great professors. There was a great philosophy teacher and a great English teacher, and I learned stuff. And being in the middle of nowhere, you can learn from that. You can learn from whatever. And I learned some stuff. I transferred to the University of Buffalo, night school. And boy, was that a night and day. The college, Walsh College was a small Catholic college we had to be in by midnight. If you were late, you had to do 50 push-ups. 50 push-ups. What are we, babies here? And it was like, they made us get haircuts the day before final exams. I mean, my hair wasn't even this long. And they go, we were known as the haystack crew, me and my buddy, because my buddies, our hair wasn't long, wasn't this long. And I remember being called into the prefect of discipline's office. We were all one at a time. He goes, you can't take final exams until you get your hair cut. And I looked at him, I go, you're joking, right? You're kidding me, right? No, so I had to get a haircut. I was so pissed. And so I went to the University of Buffalo, which back in 1967, I think it was 67, 68 maybe, one of those. In September, it was 25,000 kids. It became a lot of protests went on. It was one of those schools that was always on Walter Cronkite where the riots were going on in the 60s. And there was teachers were smoking cigarettes in class. It was just anything goes. All these great poets came there. I loved it. I remember seeing Timothy Leary. He was going to speak that night. So I'm walking through the student union, minding my own business, trying to be good, which is what I tell my grandchildren. I was trying to be good. Anyway, and who's walking the other way in the student union? Stared like Timothy Leary walking around, tripping out of his mind. I went to see him that night, and he didn't say much, but it was a really great experience. But it was night and day, from this really conservative Catholic college to like anything goes USA. And I learned a lot, and I loved it. I loved my time at the University of Buffalo. I'd spent a lot of time in the library reading about poetry, writing poetry, reading about stuff. So I had a great, so I did that for, when I graduated, I moved to New York in 72 once I got my degree in philosophy. And I've been here on and off ever since. You know,
Wow.
I travel a lot. But New York City, I learned a lot. I learned a little bit in college, but New York City's taught me a lot. I'm still learning, but boy, oh boy, this is some university here. You learn it every time you step out the door. Every time anybody who's been to New York knows this. Go for a walk, within 10 minutes, you're going to see a half a dozen things that are like, okay, okay. It's interesting, and like you stand in the corner of McDougal and Bleecker. I'm near here, right near there. In the summertime, and for 15 minutes, you'll hear a half a dozen languages, people walking by. I love it here. It's fascinating. I get out of town all the time, I'm not always here, so I get away from it, but I love it. It's still teaching me stuff.
So when you moved into the city, walk us through a little bit of, how you got your start in music, playing in bands. What were you doing?
No playing in bands. I was broke as a church mouse, and I was just playing open mics, where you could get your 15 minutes, play 3 songs. And I didn't play at all in Buffalo. I never was on stage before. First time when I used to hitchhike from Buffalo to New York. I did that a lot of times back and forth, just to like walk around the village, sleep on a park bench, whatever, and just to see the city and go to the clubs. And I played at the Gaslight, legendary club down the street from here. And so when I moved here, I played open mics, Folk City, the Bitter End, the Gaslight, Cafe A Go Go was still going then. That's where the Mother's Invention played there, Jimi Hendrix, and different places around town. And I played solo. I had a guitar. Couldn't afford other musicians. I was still learning my way, and I had no interest in joining a group. I just wanted to sing the songs that I wrote. I didn't do cover songs. That's not why I wanted to sing the songs I wrote, not for any reason. That's what I was there for. So I did that, and the first year, within a few months of being here, I almost got signed by John Hammond. This is a cool story, and I told Bruce this story once. So I moved here in June of '72. So in November, on a Sunday, I was playing Upper East Side. I'm in PJ Clark's or someplace. It was like noon, as I remember, on November, and I'm on stage sitting down actually. And I'm playing, and I see this woman. People are eating. I see this woman kind of walking back and forth, checking me out. Didn't think much of it. And I sang 3 songs. And afterwards, she said, "I think my boss might want to meet you." And I went, "Oh, yeah, who's your boss?" And she said, "John Hammond." And I knew exactly who John Hammond was. John Hammond signed Bessie Smith. He signed Bob Dylan. He signed Bruce Springsteen, Aretha Franklin. He signed what's the dude's name that plays the clarinet, famous guy, whatever. Anyway, John Hammond was a legendary, like the legendary A&R guy, and she got an appointment. I knew who he was, and she set up an appointment. I got in the wrong elevator. I went to a CBS building, Columbia Records, and it's huge. I got in the wrong elevator bank at 12. I was supposed to meet him at 12:30, and I was late. It took me up and down, people coming to go to lunch. I got 10 minutes late, and he was not happy with that. I'm really sorry, I said, wrong elevator bank. And so I sat in the chair and sang him a couple songs, and he was kind of like, ooh. I was just jumping out of my chair, pointing at him. I sang Dear Lord, which is on my first album. Oh. Anyway, he took me in the studio a week later. I think we should go in the studio. And I was totally so nervous. I didn't have much experience. And I had no experience in the studio. I'm from a microphone. And I had one guitar, and it was open. The best songs I had weren't open tuning. And it was almost falling apart, so I was afraid to change the tuning. And I actually have the tape, if it still works, of that recording. I recorded about 7 or 8 songs, some on guitar, some on piano. And I went and had a meeting with him a couple of days later, and he said, "You've got something, but I think you need a little more experience." He's totally right, he was. He says, "Keep me posted." And did I? No, I never got back. My story's littered with stuff like that. Like, idiot. I should get a T-shirt that said, "Idiot." Anyway, I never even reached out. Hey, I'm playing. I got this going on. Nothing. I didn't even occur to me. So I'm not a really great businessman. And then I got sick. I got with mononucleosis. It could have been Epstein-Barr because I was sick for like 3, 4 years, and I was in bed for like 8 months, and I worked through it. I had a really bad case of pneumonia. It was 73, not long after that, actually, 72, 73. That winter, I went to Buffalo, and I was really, really sick. I had double pneumonia. I was hallucinating overnight, and doctor came in the morning at 7 o'clock and said, "Very sick boy here." And I was there for 2 weeks, and I got over it, so I thought. And then my wife was pregnant, so I had to get back to New York and find a job because we run out of money, the little we had. And got a job working in a mailroom. And come May, I was working too much. I was working during the day, going out to clubs at night, hanging out, smoking cigarettes, playing in clubs, just hanging out, learning the scene, learning the circus that is New York and the music world. And it didn't get diagnosed. That was end of May. It didn't get diagnosed till the first week of August. And so I just was pushing myself. I could barely walk up. It took me like 5 minutes to walk up a flight of subway stairs. And I lived on a sixth floor walk up. And it would take me like a half an hour to walk up the stairs. I was so weak. I couldn't go. I would go out at night to try to play, sign up to play. I couldn't stay out past 9 o'clock. So a few 3, 4 years went by like that. And then when I got healthy again, it was probably Epstein-Barr because that's not your normal mono case. I was so weak I couldn't pick up my son, when he was born in April. Anyway, in 1977, Pat Kenny opened up Kenny's Castaways on Bleecker Street, and it was a perfect place for me. And it was a scene. Locals would go there. They had music 6 nights a week. The headliner would play twice, opening act. And so in February of, I think January, February of 78, I went to Kenny's Castaways, and at midnight I got on stage on a Monday night, and I played 3 songs. And Don Hill, who became a famous club owner, was managing Kenny's Castaways, saw me play, and told the owner, Pat, who was not paying attention, we should hire this guy. This guy's got something. And so I played. You do 6 nights a week. I did it at opening act, 2 shows a night. I did it in February, April, end of May, and July. And, I started to build a little following. But in July, the short story is Robert Palmer of the New York Times called the club and spoke to Don Hill saying, I want to come and review the headliner. What time's he going on? And the headliner was a buddy of mine, John McIndoe. And Don said, well, he goes on at 9, but he said, you should come at 8. You want to see this opener. And whatever he said, he convinced him. Robert Palmer was like one of the finest critics in more than the country, one of the legendary critic, music writer. And so he came early to see me. I didn't know he was coming just as well. Nobody told me. And he loved it, wrote a great review, ridiculous review. And the next night when it came out, you couldn't get in the club.
Wow.
People that knew me were looking at me like, what? What? And it was, to be inside that bubble was pretty interesting. It didn't throw me off my balance. It didn't go to my head at all. And I just thought, okay, and I played that night, and people there was a bunch of record companies. Clive Davis was there. The Cramps were in the table behind the band. The Cramps were sitting behind Clive. I knew I knew Lux Interior, the leader of the band, and Ivy, and they cracked me up that they were sitting right next to each other. The Cramps, the Ultimate Punk Band, and Clive Davis. And I was on stage, and after the last song, it was really peculiar. I got to say, I'll never forget that night. I wasn't even off the stage. I was walking. This guy comes on the stage and goes, "Hi, I'm Paul Rothchild. I produce the Doors. I want to work with you."
Wow.
Oh, okay, thank you. I never called him. I never called him because within 5 days I was up at Clive's office and I signed with Arista Records. But you just never know where the road's going to take you. Mine has been a long, circuitous, up and down route. But I've learned from it, and I think my music has benefited from it. I think I've benefited personally. I remember telling my dad earlier this year. I'm talking to my dad. He has a happy hour every night, like 3, 4 o'clock. have a glass of wine. My sister will come over. She's a nurse, retired nurse now. And my brother Joe will sit and have a glass of wine and talk. And Dad will tell stories. When I was a boy, great storyteller. And I remember saying to him, you know, Dad, had I been in 1980, my record came out in 1980, and with all this hype, next big thing, double page spreads in Billboard magazine, like all this praise. I've been very fortunate with the press. They've been very good to me. And like this next big thing stuff, I didn't take it seriously. I knew what it was. I knew it was a bunch of hype, you know, and that could become a lot of backlash with that. But I figured either way, I'm just trying to make records, doing my best here. And it didn't go to my head. I remember my dad was looking at me wondering, is this going to screw my son up? All this fame bullshit. And it didn't, you know. I don't care about being famous. That's not why I did what I did. That's not what I do, you know. Anyway, I told Dad early this year, I said, you know what? If I got rich and famous in 1980, 81, I'd probably be dead. And probably my four kids would not be these really good people of character that they are now. You know, they're great people. They got character. They saw their father struggle through the 80s. I walked away from the music business in 82. I thought, the hell with this, you know, sharks everywhere. I was going to court during the morning. I had for the lawyer and a manager and stuff. And I went, I didn't come here to get into business problems. Let's get out of here. I left town, walked away, you know, and I didn't come back. And the next record was in 91 on Columbia. I couldn't get, 3 years later when I tried to get back in, I couldn't get arrested. So you can go for next big thing where all these managers, you name it. I could tell you some stories about these guys who wanted to manage me and stuff that happened. But, and then 3 years later, couldn't get phone calls answered. And finally, somebody filmed me playing a charity benefit in Oslo, Norway in 87. And it got me signed to Columbia Records. And I made a record for Columbia. So you never know, you know, sometimes bad news can turn out to be for the better, you know.
Can I ask you a question? You mentioned the early 1980s. I'm an autograph collector. I was going through an autograph catalog a few years ago, and I saw a handwritten note from John Lennon to you about borrowing guitar strings. So were you in the studio with John Lennon at the time?
Yeah, I was. In 1980, in December 5th of 1980, we went into a record plant in New York City to make my second record. And John and Yoko had been there since Monday. I was in Studio A. There's two big studios, A and B, you know, playing the piano that Lennon, Springsteen, you know, Elton John, Randy Newman had played. And we all knew that John and Yoko were up in the mix room. He was working on a Yoko song, Walking on Thin Ice. And we were all excited about it. It was a Friday. And my co-producer, Tom Panunzio, knew John. He'd worked with him. They were friends. He said, when do you want to meet John? I said, oh, you know, we just started making a record. When you got a band in the studio like that, money's being spent. Studio time, you're cutting basic tracks. It was Friday night. I said, well, how about Tuesday night? That way we've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday to like cut stuff, get basic tracks done maybe. And then maybe play him something, meet John, whatever. So we just went to work. And Sunday night, December 7th, 1980, the phone rang about 10:30 at night. We're in the studio recording. Phone rings. Tom Panunzio answered it. Tom's a great guy. I love Tom Panunzio. He was, you know, him and Jimmy Iovine did, you know, Born to Run. You know, the history of Tom Panunzio, the records that Tom's been a part of. Anyway, long story short, Tom had a friend of his named Ken who was bugging him. He was an autograph collector. Your name isn't Ken, is it? I'm teasing. So Ken was bugging him. Can you get John's autograph? Can you get John's autograph? And so, unbeknownst to me, the phone call that was I knew this. It was John's engineer saying he was out of guitar strings. Do we have any he could use? So, John Lennon wants guitar strings. So I gathered a bunch of guitar strings, sent them up, and we recorded till about 2 a.m, and then we went home. You know, probably went to a bar, had a drink. Came back Monday, the 8th of December, 1980. And I have to this day, I've got a copy of the schedule. We were in at 4:30 and John and Yoko were in at 7:30. And we asked the engineer. He said that John played on those strings from midnight to 4 in the morning. It was the last thing he ever recorded. If you listen to the song "Walking on Thin Ice," it's a Yoko song, and it's great. It's a really good song. And John was thrilled about it because he thought it could be a hit for her because she got such bad press. It's his wife, for crying out loud, you know. And they had Double Fantasy was #1. Well, I'll tell you that, and what happened next. So he played all night in those songs on the night before. So we're recording on Monday night. The phone rings about 10:30, 20 after 10, something like that. And Tom gets the phone and he says, "I'll be right back." And so we were listening to playback, Amanda and I, of something we just recorded. Tom came back in 15 minutes later and he said, "Somebody just shot John." And I said, "John who?" You know, a lot of Johns in the world. There's John Lennon. I go, "What?" And he said, "Yeah, David Geffen just called. A friend of Yoko's called and said John just got shot." But we didn't know how serious it was. And what the phone call was for Tom to, the engineer was calling Tom to say, "John's coming downstairs. And if you want to get an autograph," because Tom said, "Hey, the guy who gave you the strings would like an autograph." Well, that wasn't me. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about that. He did it for his friend in Jersey, Ken. So he went out because he didn't tell us he was doing that because we all would have wanted to go out and meet John. So he went out, saw John, got the autograph, hugged him. Last autograph John ever gave. Went to the car and went home. It was within 10 minutes he was murdered, shot. And phone was ringing off the hook. We all watched TV, and then it was a really rough night. And I came in the next day, and the record plant had hired a bodyguard, a black guy named Tom, big 300-pound guy, 6'6", former football player, really sweet guy. And he said that he was heartbroken, and he felt very guilty because they got in the elevator that night to leave, 10:30 that night and thereabouts. And he said John was in the greatest mood. You know, he said John said because they just mixed the song, and John thought this could be a hit for Yoko because the B-52s were happening then, and he thought there could be some people are digging what this record was. And if you listen to the record, John's guitar playing is searing, really hard, edgy, raw. Walking Up Thin Ice, great song. So Bobby said they got in the elevator, John, Yoko, and Bobby. And John said to him, Bobby said he was in the greatest mood. "Let's go out and have dinner and celebrate." And Bobby said, "I'm sick to my stomach." He said, "I don't feel good." John put his arm around him. "You go home, Bobby. Take care of yourself. We'll do it We'll do it later in the week." So instead of Bobby going to dinner with John and Yoko, and then following home, he went home, and John and Yoko went home instead of going to dinner. And that asshole that shot him. So yeah, I sometimes I'll ask people, if you had a time machine, where would you go? Anywhere in the world. I used to say I want to go back to see Van Gogh, tell him, "Hey, dude, your paintings sell for $100 million now. You're not a failure." I'd like to go see Michelangelo, but now the first place I go would be 1980, December 8th, and I would say, "Let's not go home right now. Let's call the cops and fix that." Anyway. Oh, by the way, what John wrote, I've got a copy of it here. It sold for like 75, 80,000, this autograph. He wrote to Ken. So we got John signing this to who he thought was the guy who gave him the strings, which was me. "To Ken, who strung me along. Love and thanks. Love and peace, John." Drew a picture of his face. Peace sign, 1980.
Wow.
Yeah. He was murdered like 5 minutes later. Yeah.
Well, on that note, tomorrow night you're part of, I know we talked about this already, but some people didn't hear us when we were talking. 45th annual John Lennon tribute benefit concert for Theater Within at the Town Hall in New York. So for anybody in the New York area, there's still tickets available. So you said you've done this before.
I've done it many times. It's really great. It's Town Hall tomorrow night. I don't know what time it starts, but it's Town Hall. It's a legendary venue. Graham Nash, they're honoring Judy Collins, Sean Colvin, Suzanne Vega. There's a long list of performers that are going to be playing. Everybody's doing a couple of John Lennon songs, and they got a great band. I played with these guys. Two of the guys were in my band back in the late '90s, Rich Pagano, Andy York, Andy York's Mellencamp's lead guitar player for years and years. It's always great. You know, if you want, it's a Friday night, it's New York City at Town Hall. You go hear great John Lennon versions. It's a total love fest. You know, they the presentation's always beautiful. They got all this great video and imagery of John Lennon around and people playing these songs. I can't wait. It's always fun. Yeah, I'm surprised there's tickets left. Usually you can't get a ticket, so if there's tickets left, that's a good thing.
What songs are you playing tomorrow?
I'm playing Help and Hard Day's Night.
Nice.
So it's really, I rehearsed today. It was really fun. So I plan on having a really good time tomorrow night. Anybody not busy tomorrow night, Town Hall in New York City, that's a hot ticket. I'm surprised there's tickets left. That's great. You know, we did it before. Graham Nash did it a year or two ago. Really nice guy, and Judy Collins, and there's like a lot of different artists. I can't remember all their names. The Rolling Stones, the Who, the usual.
I saw Paul McCartney last week in Chicago, and I took my daughter to see him. People heard me say this the other night, but there was a definite John tie-in, and it just gave me chills because of Peter Jackson and the documentary. They were able to pull John's vocal out for I Got a Feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So 45 years later, here's Paul and John singing, and you could hear John's vocals so clearly. It was unreal, and it was like he was there at United Center, and it just gave me chills. But Paul does a great job of honoring George and John, and that was a fantastic moment.
I saw Paul. I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma in October 22nd, I think of this year, and Paul played. And I know a couple of guys in the band, so I got to go back and say hello to the guys. I didn't see Paul, but I was at great seats. It was what a show. You know, it's anybody who's lucky enough to get to go. It's pretty special.
Guy's 83 years old, still playing for 3 hours, and here's the guy that wrote "Let It Be," "Hey Jude" 60 years ago, and we're still able to sit and listen and sing along. It's fantastic. Two things I wanted to ask you about, and then I think Stan and Howie got some stuff for you. I noticed you got 2 songs in your catalog with Steve Earle. Steve's one of my guys. He's like one of those guys that I started listening to when I was a kid and bought every album, and I've seen him many times. So I just wanted to see if you could talk me a little bit about that, how you met Steve, how you know Steve, and your collaborations that you've done with him.
Steve is great. Steve has been a neighbor of mine for 15 years. He was living like 3 doors from me on a corner here, and for 15 years. He moved farther south in Manhattan just a couple of years ago for his son. He's got a autistic son, and he likes water. So where they are now, he can see the harbor, and he's a great father. You know, Steve doesn't tour a good bit of the year, so because he's a single parent with a child with great need, nonverbal. Wow. And so I'd see him in the delis, you know, with him and his son. He'd come back from a Yankee game with his kid, you know, and we became friends. And I love Steve. He's like Johnny Cash to me, you know. He's a great songwriter. You know, he's just a really classic, you know, Americana, you know, soul, you know, honest, you know, painstakingly honest, you know. Copperhead Road is one of the great songs, you know, in the you know, American songbook, and we became good friends. And so I remember when I recorded a song called "Blood on Your Hands," which was first, Blood on Your Hands. It was on the day the earth stood still, and we were working on it. And I thought, you know what, maybe Steve would sound good singing this, you know. And I texted him. I sent it to him. 5 minutes later, I get a text back. I'm in. I mean, no, you know, Steve is very, very straightforward, no nonsense guy. You know, what you see is what you get, and he's been through, his life is, you know, legendary. You know, was his, you know, he's been through drug problems. He's so years. That's years in his past, and but he's really a great artist. Worth seeing if he's playing around anywhere you are. It's totally worth seeing Steve play. And he came in the studio and sang, and it was glorious watching him sing. I'll never forget that. And then I wrote a song called "Wake Up America," and it was in 22. And you know, my feeling is, I love this country, and I believe in the dream that is this country. Neighbors being neighbors, land of possibilities, you know, and I love the dream that is this country, you know. And I think that with all, it's so divided now. It's such a drag. If people like, if the four of us were driving across the country, and wherever we would stop, whether we had, banners in the car, left wing, right wing, and we stopped at a place, if we were in a, if we had some trouble, let's say we had a sick kid in the back of the car and we needed some help, stop at a farmhouse. No matter what the politics are, people would help. I think the problem is that there's just this huge gap, information gap on, well, what's real, what's real and what's fake. It's that simple. I think that most people would make the right decision. My dad would say this. Most people given the right information would make the same decision. Well, this is right and that's wrong. Okay. So I'm a believer. So I wrote that song "Wake Up America" to try to go right down Maine and going, you know what? It's neither right nor left. I got comments. I put it out in 22 as a single, and I got feedback from right, feedback from the left. Yeah, way to go, Willie, way to go, Willie, which I was happy about because I believe that the people are people, and when people are in need, I remember the first year I moved here, the building was on fire. There was a pizza place on the first floor, and I watched these firemen go right into the smoke, eating this. I'm total heroes. I think that people, I've been around enough. I've been around long enough to know that some people just won't look for the good in other people. They just won't. But like neighbors being neighbors will mostly help other neighbors. Somebody's house is on fire in the neighborhood. People are going to come to help. My politics start there. As a hungry kid, people want to, we given the information, people would help each other and do the right thing. So I wrote "Wake Up America" with that in mind. Everybody just wake up. Let's help each other here. So I called Steve. I texted Steve, same thing. Hey, Steve, I got the song. I sent him a song. Get a text back in 5 minutes. I'm in. And there's a good video we made of that. And you can see Steve singing it. And it was a real honor for me to have Steve sing. I mean, Steve Earle, for crying out loud. I'm still a fan, and it was humbling and a great honor for me. And they both came out great, I'm happy to say.
Yeah, seriously, I'm not just blowing smoke because you're on here. Great, the Great Yellow Light is fantastic. It almost plays as two halves to me. Like I listened to it 3 times the last 2 days. You get to track 6, Trying to Make a Living in the USA, Fall on Me, and What Color is Love. Oh my God, both of those are fantastic songs. Wake Up America with Steve and Washington's Day. It's like,
I'm so proud of this record.
yeah, it's fantastic. Anybody that's watching, listening, whatever, go check it out.
If
Great
you haven't,
Yellow Light.
The Great Yellow Light. If you haven't heard it, go to wherever you hear music, whether you buy it or not, listen to it. It's like the Hooters, Rob and Eric Bazillion. Rob, they're great, good friends of mine, amazing musicians. Rob Hyman plays. He wrote Time After Time. Him and Eric wrote all the Hooters stuff. Eric wrote What If God Was One of Us, and I've been wanting to record Washington's Day, which they put out in '87 or '88, and I wrote the lyrics. I just signed to Columbia Records. I went by the studio to play a song for the producer, and he was mixing with the engineer, and Rob and the band wasn't there. And he said, "We've got a piece of music, but no words." And I'm in the back of the room just listening. It was like listening to Let It Be. It's a great piece of music. And words started coming. I go, I got an idea here. And I've been meaning for years to record it, and finally did. And they came up in Philadelphia to the studio one day, and we had a ball. 3 takes, and we live all the vocals on it. My vocals are all live. They're like, when you record it, we all record it together as a band, and I'll do a guide vocal so they can follow the song. And I didn't overdub anything. It just, I got them anyway. Rob Hyman ended up playing on 6 songs. Eric's on 2, and they played on Trying to Make a Living in the USA. They sang on it. Waddy Wachtel plays on this record. Steve Earle. There's a legendary Irishman, Paul Brady. There's a song on the album called "An Irish Goodbye," and Paul Brady is a 77-year-old iconic Irish singer-songwriter, and he sings a duet with me on it, on "Irish Goodbye." He sings on it, and that's a great honor. So there's really got a lot of great musicians. The band played great. Anybody hears the record, it doesn't suck. It's good fun, and I love the way it flows. Like you just mentioned, I remember when I was sequencing the record, it just came like boom. I wanted to start with "Wild Wild World" because it is a wild, wild world. It's a party song, but it's got some meat on its bones. It's not just You know, it's not a, it's just it's good song, and it's just it's a rocking record, but it's got different. It takes you through a cool journey. I love it. I'm really happy with it. I'm glad you like it. Thank you, Ryan.
So on that point, I was talking to somebody else about this the other day. You know, Bruce talked for Darkness, Born to Run, River, the Four Corners. You know, what you're going to start with under the guise of being on vinyl. You know, back 40 years ago. Do you still think in that way as far as like the Four Corners, or are you looking as this is going to be listened to from start to finish, and I'm going to sequence it that way?
I usually think start to finish, but I'm also mindful of when you make vinyl. We did vinyl with this, and I do vinyl with studio records because I love vinyl. I'm mindful of, well, where's it going to end and where's it going to start. And the thing with making a record, if you have more than 20 minutes on either side of vinyl, for every dB decibel that goes over 20 minutes, you lose a little bit of level. And so if you go like 4 dB, if you have 24 minutes, for every minute over, for every minute over 20 minutes, you lose a 1 dB. So that's why some records are louder than others. And this record is spot on, man. That's like 20 and 20. It's like as loud as you can get. But I think, to answer your question, I think top to bottom, like how does it? It's not a concept record. I don't make those, but like I'm aware of the ebb and flow of one song into another, whether it's tempo, whether it's thematic. But I was mindful that what is it? That trying to make a living in the USA.
Yeah, that's track 6.
It's a good opener for a B side, for side B. You know.
Yes, it is.
Got a lot of good radio play that song. It's good fun.
So I have a question I wanted to ask you about one guitar and how that, is today for you. Because the reason why I ask is, and I actually asked this question, and I asked this question to Little Steven one time about "I'm a Patriot," how it's become an anthem, and a lot of people cover it, and a lot of people, and I actually saw one of my heroes, and someone who was passed, unfortunately, was a big band of my teenage years, was The Alarm, Mike Peters. And he played a great version of One Guitar. And I was saying, a lot of people use that as an anthem, and even today, even at Light of Day, it's like one of the highlights. Everyone can't wait for it to come, and I don't have to tell you, you're singing it, but it's such an anthem. And what do you feel? How's your feeling about how it became such an anthem for a lot of people out there?
Well, I love singing it. It's funny, my first record was in 1980, and when I sing the old songs, even from 1972, I still feel, I'm just too dumb to know better, or else I must have fallen on my head as a kid. But like, I still feel that same passion. And so with One Guitar, I wrote it in 20 minutes with my buddy Frankie. Frankie, really a real great songwriter, humble guy, came over with this idea. I go, I like this. And I took the story in a different direction. And I love it. It's so simple. There's 3 chords, mostly 2 chords, and there's a passing chord going into the choruses, but it's so simple. It's accessible. A kid can hear it, a 5-year-old kid can hear it and dig it. But
it has a massive message.
It's got a good message, So if you get knocked down, you got to take a stand. For all the outcasts, dead last who need a helping hand, get your tambourine, turn your amps up loud, raise your voices up above this crowd, because I'm a soldier marching in an army. It's like what I said before. It's a feel-good thing, and it's not picking sides. It's like, let's help each other. Come on, wake up, grow up. Let's get along. What would your grandparents think about what you're doing? Let's do the right thing by each other. And that people like it is just I didn't expect it when we wrote it. I didn't realize it would become, the kind of anthem it's become. But I love singing it. It's fun. Everybody sings along. Bruce has been kind enough to join us many times.
I know. I've seen Bruce play with you, and when he sings that chorus with you, I've seen it a bunch of times, and when you guys have done it together, and Bruce is really into it. He's singing that chorus like it's, he has to pay his rent, and
You know,
it means something. It's got to, it has a massive meaning. I mean, even for me, I've seen it 100 million times already, but it's always got that same feeling for me every time you play it.
you can tell when somebody means it when they're singing it, and when I see Bruce singing it, he's not kidding. He means it. And that's the joy of those kind of evenings. Musicians getting together for a good cause. And you got a song like that where you can sing. It means something. Life is hard. Everybody works hard. Life is hard. People die. And music can pick us up. That's what we love about it. It can inspire, it can pick us up. That's why I go on stage. That's why I make records. It picks me. And so when the audience gets picked up, all the better. And that song is a pick me up. But thank you. Thanks for the kind words. And bless Bruce for joining us so many times.
It's ingrained in our heads as you were singing it, Willie. Stan and I were like, no, 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 no.
Bruce or
It's
not,
ingrained.
it's always a highlight at any light of day show you do, Willie. People get up, go arm in arm, singing together. It's like the light of day anthem almost.
I
Like,
think
really.
so. I agree. I think so too, Stan. I think, and I've been to plenty of my. You've been much more than I have, but I'm saying, I definitely, it's a highlight for me. And you see, it just turns whatever. It's just like everyone's out of their seats, and everyone. It's like It's like Willie was saying. It's like they need it. Life is hard, and they need that escape. They need that sense of power, that message. And I've seen it every year I've been to the light of day. Never fails. Like sometimes when you go to light of day, it's okay, I know he's gonna play this and this, but that song for some never gets old. It's like if you don't play it, I want my money back. Okay.
We all need it. Life is hard for all of us. You know, you could be the richest guy in the world. That doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be happy.
Absolutely.
People work hard. They got their jobs, they got bills to pay. Things happen, people get sick, all kinds. Life is life. The slings and arrows, and music can pick us up. So it picks us all up. It picks us up to play it. My guys, my band, I got a great band. And the thing that amazes me that we do a show. We played a show in Buffalo about a week or so ago, and great venue there, the Town Ballroom. It's haunted. It's awesome. Anyway, and every time they play, every single song, they mean it. You don't see them phoning it in.
Mm-hmm.
We all could go out and see some bands. You could tell when somebody's phoning it in.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do it, and they're my songs, so I don't phone it in because I wouldn't be there if I won't walk on a stage. Or I won't go to a studio unless I believe in it. I think it's going to be something special. And it comes across. Like when you see Bruce singing it, he means it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's Bruce. That's why the passion that comes from deep down inside of him, that speaks to people, speaks to all of us. So I'm grateful that the songs are coming, still coming. Humbled and grateful. Yeah.
Willie, I have one other question for you that was sent in. We have a good friend named Mary Jones, who's a big part of the Spring Nut community. She's a friend of mine. She wanted me to ask you about your wife, Christina, and her taking pictures while you're doing your show, and then B, she's being funny. She says, ask Willie how much input she has on his jackets and his wardrobe compared to your own input.
She made those. She made 6 jackets for me. Like I used to wear. I always wear black. I'm not sure why. It must be the Johnny Cash side of me, but I wear a short jacket on stage usually. And she said, I could put something on that. DKL or whatever, this or that. And so she took a jacket I had, and she started putting stuff on it. Whether it's an image of Keith Richards or a motorcycle thing, just to, jazz it up some. That was her idea. And she made 6. She made me 6 of them. We got married in 2020. I met her in 2010. She's a great, great photographer and a great painter.
Phenomenal.
She's I mean, if you go to Chris, I don't know what her. I don't go to social media because it's all I can do to keep up with emails. And I got a buddy who does it for me, but we communicate, so I know what's going on. But I don't know what Christina Aragoni, her photos It's Christina without an H, Christina. Her photos are so deep and so beautiful, whether it's musicians or whether it's homeless people that she's been shooting for 6 years now. But those jackets, she made 6 of them, and they're all different. And one of I got married in one of them in Italy in 2020, in the middle of COVID. It was October. It was, it was the middle of, it was bad. And I was able to get in the country. That's a long story. And I love that jacket. And I took a trip. I think it was to Chicago or someplace, and it was in my suitcase. Someone stole it.
Wow.
Yeah, when I travel, I no longer put those jackets. I take them with me. If I
Wow.
God.
take a jacket or two with me, I'll put them in my carry-on. Somebody stole the jacket, whatever. But she made them, 6 of them. So like she's got great taste, and they look pretty cool. They look good in photographs. So Christina's amazing, and when she's taking photos, I love when she's taking photos. She makes me look halfway decent. I'm no Mick Jagger, but she makes everybody look iconic when she takes people's pictures. She just really has a gift for character, for beauty.
Very, very nice person too. Very
Yeah.
nice.
I have a book, the handbook. It's
The Sound of. She has a book called The Sound of Hands.
the Hands of Hands. I forgot that, but we have it.
Sound of Hands. Bless you. It's all musicians' hands.
Mhm.
Jackson Brown, B.B. King, Johnny Winters on the cover. Some famous, some not famous. Donovan, and it's just a great collection. And it's her idea, The Sound of Hands, musicians' hands. She's gifted. I'm nuts about her. I don't know what she sees in me, but I'm not. Don't tell anything.
And you.
Willie, I have to give you props. I just noticed this. I've been looking at you all the time, but I'm seeing Geronimo behind you.
Yeah.
My dad grew up. He loved Native American culture, so he's ingrained that in me. So I know that was Geronimo the minute I actually paid attention to it.
Geronimo in the house. Yeah, yeah. I love the American Indian culture. It's inspiring to me. They've talked about having a hard go of it, but the Plains Indians and stuff just always inspired me and fascinated me no end, still to this day. So I got Geronimo up on the wall. Look, watching out for me.
He was a fighter. He fought for his people. He fought for justice. He, did what he had to. Went off the guerrilla warfare and all that kind of stuff.
That stuff. Yeah. Geronimo. I
Well,
remember being a kid playing with, being a kid in my single digits, playing whatever games around the house. You yell Geronimo and Attack, his name was Attack. Anyway, Geronimo in the house.
Willie, my background photo, that's you on the right. That's from Buffalo in November 2009 when you were on stage with Bruce at the end of the show. So if you can see that.
Oh, behind you, I see that.
Yeah, right. The microphone's sort of right in the middle of you, but
I recognize that. I got it. I got a different picture of that where you can see me. That was really great.
Banner says it's only rock and roll, but it feels like love. It sort of really summed everything up that night. So what was it like being on stage in your hometown there with Bruce?
That was great. It's always fun to join Bruce and the guys. It's really, he's very generous, Bruce, with inviting me up to play over the years. And I went to the show from Buffalo. I flew to Buffalo. I knew I could get good seats. I wanted to take my 2 daughters, and I have 4 kids. And so we went to the show. I think that was the night they were doing, was it Greetings from Asbury Park?
Greetings. Yeah.
And they ran late because they were rehearsing. And I did not get to go back to say hello to Bruce. Usually before a show, I'll go back and say hi, give him a hug and stuff. But there was not, the doors were held. So we got in, went to our seats, and went enjoying the hell out of the show. And near the end, before the encores, he was near our side of the stage. I was on Clarence's side, like 3 rows back, something like that. And he was over near us. And I remember saying to JoJo, I said, I think Bruce just saw me. I thought he looked at me. And then my phone buzzes. I get a message, from Bruce's assistant saying, Bruce wants you to come back. He wants you on stage now. Come on back. But, so like I start to walk down three row stairs, and he's standing right there as assistant. And so I climb over. I'm going back, and Bruce is, when he plays, he's not kidding. He's playing for fun. He means it. The songs mean the world to him. It's his life he's singing about, our lives, but it's his life. And when we're on stage together, it's always a lot of fun, you know. And so I went up to sing "Higher and Higher," the Jackie Wilson song, which was a riot. So I get up on stage, and by that time, Bruce and uh, is it Curtis and one of the back and other
Curtis and Cindy Mizell.
they were out in the back. Bruce, they were out singing in the back of the arena, and I'm on stage next to little Steven. And I look over my daughters and went, like, can you believe it? We're just laughing. I'm going, you know, whatever. And it was so much fun. It's always fun, you know. And Bruce likes to have a good time and share that. And it's always an honor. I mean, it's always an honor, you know. And
Wait, did your esteem in the eyes of your girls go way up after that, or
Lord knows. I mean, we're really close, you know. There's a lot of love between us. I think they appreciated how funny it was, you know. Dad, what the hell, you know? And we went back and said hello, and yeah, Clarence. That's the last time I saw Clarence, you know. And when I'll never forget that Bruce waited on stage with Clarence for that little lift to get Clarence off the stage. It was the last time. It was moving to see that, and we saw Clarence. You know, it was a golf cart. They were taking him out. We got to give him hugs, and God bless Clarence. But that was to be in my hometown playing. It meant a lot. It always does. You know, every time Bruce has invited me up, it's always meaningful, and you know, I treasure it. You know.
I fell asleep, and when we woke up, we were in fucking Buffalo. Howie, you got any other questions for Mr. Willie, we know you are an incredibly busy guy. You've got a show tomorrow to do for Mr. Lennon. We appreciate you taking the time to do this, and a lot of great stories. We could probably sit here and talk for 3 hours if you had the time, but
appreciate you taking the time.
Well, Willie, I will say one more time, and I don't want it to get lost. And we are all so grateful for you to doing this and for all the support you've always shown. Not, like I said, not just me, but for the group. Always, you know, whatever we can do to be there for you, we're there. It's a two-way street. Thank you so much for being here. It was truly an honor to have you. I can't begin to tell you. And we're so excited that, you know, you're going to be honored in this light of day. It's truly obviously deserved. And, you know, there's a lot of people I'm not just in, you know, Spring Nuts, but obviously in everywhere that is a big fans and can't wait to celebrate this with you.
I'm looking forward to Light of Day coming and playing, you know, and the audiences are always great. They come for the right reasons. They come to have a good time. You know, they know their rock and roll, you know, the Jersey Shore. They know their rock and roll. And it's an honor for me to be with you guys. I appreciate taking the time and all the support. Here's to the Spring Nuts. You guys are out of your minds, and I like that. That's
yeah,
a beautiful thing to have a group like that. Come on.
We're very blessed, but we're very blessed that you're part of it as well.
Willie, I'm sorry, I forgot. When we started this, we've had 3 great guests, including yourself, this week alone. We've got 3 questions that we ask everybody. I'm gonna reword one of these questions for you, but real quick, do you remember the first album, 8-track, cassette, whatever musical medium that you bought yourself?
Oh, absolutely. The first thing I ever bought I was in the 4th grade, and I went to the record store. I got 2 quarters, and I walked to Cabbage's by myself across the big busy street. I'm still little, but I went and walked in the record store. Yeah, hi. Do you have Peggy Sue by Buddy Holly? You know, bought that record, and I had a little plastic, you know, turntable. And I played that 1,000 times, you know, the rhythm, the groove, the aggression, the beauty of it, the simplicity of it, the great vocal, Buddy's vocal. And I really, that was transformative, the first record I bought. And years later, that was, I think, how old are you when you're in the 4th grade?
9, 10, somewhere in that area.
50,
about 10.
That was Buddy Holly. Let's go by the song. 57, probably 57, 58.
Yeah.
So I was like 9, 10, something like that. And it was, let's say it's 1958. or 57 maybe, one of those. And then in 2009, 2011, years later, I'm in Austin, Texas, playing at South by Southwest. I'm playing a show with my band, and a friend of mine says, "I want you to meet somebody."
Mm.
He's got one of the founders of South by Southwest, and he takes me around back at the bar, and he says, "This is Maria Elena Holly."
Oh my God.
Wow.
Almost fell off the floor, and she says, "Oh, I want to get your autograph." I went, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! I want to get your autograph." She couldn't have been nicer. She was a doll. I got to meet her years later, and there's a Buddy Holly Educational Foundation, which helps teenagers who want to, pursue music. That's what it's for. That's the benefit of that organization. And I'm an official. She wanted me to be an official ambassador for the Buddy Holly Educational Foundation, along with Roger Daltrey, Pete Townsend, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, U2, everybody. It's a who's who of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I'm one of those. I'm lucky enough to be one. I don't know what I'm doing there, but she wanted me in there. And the
Wow.
first record I ever bought was Peggy Sue, and who would have thought that so many years later I'd have met Maria Elena Holly, who was Buddy's love of his life.
Wow.
Amazing.
God bless her. She's still alive down in Dallas. God bless her.
Wow. All right. Second question. First concert that you attended. I know you've got a musical background. You've had a lot of exposure, but it doesn't have to be rock and roll necessarily. But the first concert that you attended that you.
I remember that very well too. It was in the 50s. We went to a concert by Ola Tunji and the Watusi Dancers. Lord knows, we had this international world around us, and someone invited my parents to go to see this. Ola Tunji was a famous, African percussion player, and we're watching on stage these Watusi dancers with the white wigs. My sister and I going, "This is awesome!" It was jungle time. It was so great. The beats, the grooves. It was mind blowing. That was the first concert I ever saw. Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. Last question, which is a two-parter, and I'm going to change it. I've asked other people like what concert they were. I'm going to change that for you. You've collaborated with Steve. You've collaborated with many people. Is there somebody, two-part, anybody that's passed that you never got a chance to that you'd love to collaborate with, and then B, anybody that's alive now that you'd like to collaborate with?
I think I'd love to write something with Buddy Holly or Chuck. Chuck Berry would though. Let me think. So in the past, I'd say maybe I think Buddy Holly. And currently, so many great artists, songwriters out there. Probably McCartney.
Mm.
Mm.
To go back, I would throw John Lennon in the mix as the first. I love writing with John, and I love writing something with Paul. And Keith as well. Keith Richards and Mick and Keith. There's one song on the album called "Fall on Me."
Mm.
I wrote that with my buddy Frankie Lee, and we were trying to experiment, having fun one month. We get together every weekend. And we tried to let's write songs for Mick and Keith and the Stones.
Mm.
So we wrote about a dozen songs. "Fall on Me" is one of those songs. If you listen to "Fall on Me," it's the Stones.
Yes, I thought that when I listened to that today, I was like, this could be a Rolling Stones song. That blows my mind, dude. That's exactly where that was going.
And I've got others. I've got a killer for the next record. Another one that we wrote. I'm going to put on the next record. Killer. It's just I love writing. So I'd say Lennon, McCartney, Jagger, Richards. I love to write with them.
You have a new
Awesome.
record coming out?
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
I'm always writing, so I'm writing.
Okay.
I'm not sure what my next move is going to be. We'll see. I've been working on the documentary, but that's a whole other subject. Anyway, I appreciate you guys taking the time to have me on.
Thank you, Willie.
Thank you.
I really do, and I'm looking forward to seeing you light of day. Going to be fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just around the corner.
Just
Around the corner, we'll be rocking and rolling. You can bet on that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Willie.
Thank you, Willie. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
sir.
thank you, everyone, for coming.
Happy holidays to all you guys and the people watching. Happy holidays to you. Here's to you and your loved ones. Here's to a better world for all of us.
Amen, brother.
Definitely. Good night.
Cheers.
Take care.
Take
Thank
care, guys.